Today I'm going to show you how to make these Santa cupcakes. On the inside, delicious moist chocolate business. On the outside, buttercream Santa. Okay, let's get started. We're starting off our batter by sifting the dry ingredients into the bowl of our standing mixer, beginning with 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. Definitely don't forget the cocoa powder when you're making a chocolate cake. 1/3 cup of a high-quality cocoa powder. Right, give it a sift. We're going to give this a quick whisk and then set aside. Cloud of cocoa powder. Now we're going to mix the wet ingredients into a bowl, and of course, I'm just going to remind you that in a chocolate cake, the butter rarely comes through, and that's why a lot of them are oil-based, like mine. Okay, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. This recipe calls for 1/2 cup of buttermilk, but I'm out of buttermilk. Sometimes use buttermilk powder, but in case you don't have that handy, you can also just squeeze a little bit of lemon juice into the milk, and that'll help curdle it. And what buttermilk is really like an acidic milk. Healthy splash of vanilla, 2 medium eggs, love those yolks, 1/4 cup of sour cream. Before I add my hot coffee in, I'm going to give this a little whisk so the eggs don't get cooked. Just so you know, it's always nice to add in warmer ingredients when you're making a cake so that it'll bake more evenly and a little bit more quickly. You don't want to put ice cold batter into an oven because the center will take a lot longer to cook. 3/4 cup of hot, very strong coffee from my mocha pot. This is basically espresso, just so you know. If you don't want to use coffee in this recipe, go ahead, skip it. You could use warm water, you could use more milk. Any liquid is basically fine. Coffee will bring out the chocolate flavor though. So when you eat this cake, you're not tasting a mocha chocolate cake or a coffee cake. You're just going to taste a chocolatey chocolate cake. I promise, even though it seems like you're adding a lot of coffee in there. Also, if you're worried about the caffeine or if you're feeding it to kids and you don't want them hyped up, just go ahead and use decaf coffee. Now, while this is mixing on like medium-low, level 2, we're going to add the wet to the dry. All right, I'm gonna let this mix for like a minute longer, but I wanna scrape the bottom down just in case there's any flour hanging out there that's not getting mixed. Oh my, this batter smells so good. I can't even tell you. You have to make this recipe. Okay, mix. Okay, that's thoroughly mixed, so I'm gonna couldn't decide which papers to use, so I have gold and red, but not in that order. Okay. I'm using an ice cream scoop to add about the same amount of batter to each cupcake. I find it's really the neatest way because this gets so messy, especially when your batter is liquidy like this chocolate batter is. This is like that batter where you're like, oh my gosh, it's pure liquid. How is it gonna turn into a solid? But it does, magically. My first batch of cupcakes is ready to go into the oven at 350 for maybe 20-30 minutes. We'll see. The center has to be set. While my cupcakes are baking in the oven, I'm going to whip up a quick batch of American buttercream for the decorations. You could use Italian buttercream if you want, and you can click up at the top of the screen for my How to Make Italian Buttercream video, but American buttercream is going to be really nice to pipe, and it's not going to be too delicate, so I can fudge around with it and not worry. Paddle attachment, 1 pound of unsalted butter at room temperature into your standing mixer. That's 4 sticks for us in America. All right. Give it a little mix to cream it together. My butter is nice and creamy, so we're going to take it off of the standing mixer and then sift in about 2 pounds of confectioner sugar. Whoa, 2 pounds of sugar, that's so much. Well, it's divided into little tiny cupcakes, and this should be enough for my 18 cupcakes. So worry a little bit less. Also, it's the holidays. We're gonna add a little bit of sugar at a time so we don't have a giant mess. We all know that I'm a bit messy. I always like to sift powdered sugar when I'm making buttercream because nobody wants a clog in their piping tip. If that happens, it can get really gnarly and frustrating, and baking should be easy and pleasurable, not frustrating. Put that back on and mix. On low. You can add a splash of vanilla in at this point too. Back to sifting. All right, back onto the mixer. Repeat that process. So pretty, but a little weak. I need some more strength from this buttercream. It's time for some more sifting. One more time. Okay, so I used like 1 2/3-ish. Take a look, the consistency is nice. You can see it's pretty strong. It doesn't have a lot of air bubbles in it, and it tastes good. American buttercream. Now I'm gonna divide this batter into several batches. A little bit of white for the fur trim and beard, a little bit of peachy color for Santa's face, and a little bit of red for the hat. Start off by using a small spatula or knife to spread the flesh-colored Santa face on. Just smooth it out, it doesn't have to look perfect. Next we're adding red for that beautiful Santa hat. I smooth out a little bit and then I add one more dollop, kind of smear it on top for the bit of the cap that's overhanging. I'm using a small star tip to pipe Santa's pom-pom, and then I'm using that same star tip with white buttercream and a little bit of a ripple effect to pipe the brim of his hat. Pop on 2 upside down mini chocolate chips for the eyes, and now use that same star tip to pipe his fluffy beard. Okay, last bit is an upside down M&M, no logo showing for Santa's red nose. Now I'm dipping the white parts of the hat into some sanding sugar just for added sparkle. Totally optional, but I love the effect. These cupcakes were so easy to make. Like, it was the easiest Christmas cupcake I've ever made, but look how cute this is. And taste-wise, I love how there's a lot of cupcake and just a little frosting because I'm that kind of guy. Okay, Merry Christmas. I hope you get to make these. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe.